Samantha from Jessima Tutorials here, and today I'm going to be trying to create Caribbean calcite from polymer clay. So to start this off, I'm going to be using translucent Primo clay. You can use any translucent clay you want, any will work, but I'm going to be going with Primo. And I'm going to be using a nice kind of teal blue alcohol ink. This one specifically is Pool. And I'm going to use that to colour my translucent clay. There we go. And just close that up and then allow that to dry. Okay, and I do think this might end up being a little too green, so I'm going to actually take this sapphire blue and I'm just going to add one drop of that in just to tint the colour a little bit more towards the blue side. Oops, 2 will be fine. Alright, and then I'll let that dry. Alright, and then once that's dry, you're just going to take that and you're going to fold it over and proceed to mix that ink into your clay to colour it. And this is how it should look. And I haven't mixed it through completely because I want there to be some inconsistencies in the colour. So I've stopped at the point where I've got a little bit of marbling still through the piece. And that's the translucent clay. Now I've got a few colours. I've got Primo Rhino Grey, Primo Pearl White, and Primo Butter Yellow. Feel free to change up these colours as you wish. I would recommend sticking with the Pearl White, but these two colours you can interchange with a couple of other different types of browns if you wish. And I've just compacted them together by folding them over, and now I am going to just make sure that I don't have too much of each colour. I want there to be about the same amount of colour total as there is the coloured translucent, so I'm just gonna roughly trim away that extra because I don't want the ratio to be off too much. And then I'm going to take that and I'm just going to chop everything up into little pieces and distribute it together. So just chop everything up like so. Then you just want to take that and just roughly start mixing it together so that the colours are evenly distributed. Don't squish anything together yet though. You just want to be moving it around so that you don't have huge patches of one type of colour. And then I am going to grab some Pearl White acrylic paint and I'm just going to pop that down on top, and I don't want too much, that should be enough. And then I'll just use a brush to just roughly distribute that paint around. I don't want too much in there, just enough to create a little bit of veins. And I'm actually going to bring over some white acrylic paint as well, just to kind of mix that in as well, because I feel like the Pearl White's not going to be enough on its own. Because the Pearl White will add a bit of sparkle, but it's not going to create very obvious veins in the piece, so the white should add to that while still having that nice Pearl White effect. Okay, and you just distribute that around and then allow it to dry, and then we're going to create the agate or the calcite pieces. Alright, and then when the paint has pretty much dried, it's not completely dry, but for the most part dried, I'm just going to take that and I'm going to just squish it together. And at this point, I am going to do two things with it. I'm going to take half of this and make it as a cane, and then the other half I'm going to do a marble with. But you just want to kind of squish that all together so that it forms one solid piece of clay. Okay. Okay, and before doing anything else beyond this point, I'm actually going to trim up the edges, or at least wipe them down, because I want to get rid of that extra paint that's on there. So just let me grab a baby wipe, and I'm just going to, just for the most part, clean up that paint so that it clears up the image a bit. And that will make the seams a lot less visible. So I'd recommend doing this whenever you're doing this technique. There we go. And that saves sanding time later too. There we go. Right, now I'm going to cut it in half. And you can see how that looks right now. Quite simple. You could use it exactly like that if you want. And I'm going to first work with the cane. I'm just going to chop it into pieces. And my tile is a little wet, so I'm going to have to hold this while I slice it so that it doesn't move around. But I'm just going to take those and I'm going to create a number of slices, trying to keep them all roughly the same thickness as one another. And then I'm going to create a marble with those, because right now they're a little bit too sharp and angular. And just kind of squish them together. I'll see if I can get some more slices out of that piece. Then I'm just going to use my roller to just kind of start squishing that together. And I'm going to clean up the paint that's kind of squishing onto the surface in a moment, but for now my goal is to just kind of roll that flat. Then just grab a wipe, clean that down, and I'm going to flip it over and make sure that the other side is clean as well. So just pick that up and wipe that side down as well. And then I'm actually going to fold it over on itself and choose a side that you like. I think this side looks better than this one. I'm just going to fold and run that through the pasta machine, and that's how it should look. And then again I'm going to just pick a side that I like this side. I'm going to fold it over one more time and I'm going to put that through the machine again. Alright, and I'm going to call that quits for that one. You can see both sides. And I'm going to bring over this other piece. And what I'm going to do with this one is a little different. I'm just going to cut out a slice again. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker than before. And I am going to trim off the edges to make sure that it's nice and clean. And this one I am going to marble. And let's see. I'm going to actually split that in half and pop the pieces together and just give it a good squish, making sure that everything is stuck together, because I want to roll and twist. So we'll see if it will allow me to do that. Sometimes the clay will break apart, so you want to go a little, just gently roll and twist, roll and twist. And the goal is to get as many lines as you think looks nice. So stop at any point that you want, but each time it kind of stiffens up, you can give it a roll and then start to twist again. And this is how I wanted to make the calcite to begin with, because this will give me kind of the lines of the stone, but I wanted to try out the other one as well. Right, and that looks pretty good. Then I'm just going to squish that in a little bit, just to kind of first up squiggle the lines a bit, but also just to shorten the piece up. And then I'm going to flatten it, and I'm going to bring over the mold that I'm going to be using. And I think I like this side the best, and I'm just going to pop that down inside and just press the clay into place, and this is going to squish those lines and kind of make it a little less straight. And there is going to be paint getting all over the place. That's going to get cleaned up once it's baked and we can sand it. There's very little point in trying to do that right now, but at the moment I just want to squish it into place and make sure that it's nice and shaped out. And once you've done that, just grab your blade and just run over the surface to get rid of that extra clay, like so. And I am going to have to clean it up a little bit once I get out the mould, but there you can see how it looks roughly in the mould, and that's the look that I'm really going for. Just unmold it. If you're having trouble unmolding, you can always pop it in the freezer to firm it up a bit. There we go. And instead of over trimming and potentially cutting the mould, I like to just clean up the last of that with my blade. Just tuck that in, and that's the earring that I'm going to make. So I'm going to make one more of those. Alright, and then lastly I'm going to work with the marble, and for that I'm just going to use this really kind of small narrow triangle cutter. It is a set of 3, and I think that will work quite nicely. And I'm just going to find a spot that I think looks nice. I think the spot right here looks quite good, so I'll cut out there. And bear in mind that this colour is going to change once it's been baked, and also once it's been sanded, because some of the layers will get removed. I only want one pair, so I'll put that to the side along with the rest of the cane that I've got here, and just gently lift that up. There we go. And place that down on a piece of paper. There we go. And I'm actually going to bake these together just to make sure that they're nice and straight next to one another. The seam has already been created, so I can just split those apart once they've been baked. And I'm going to bake these as well on a piece of paper for about 40 minutes at Primo's recommended temperature. Once that's done, the colour will shift a little bit because of the alcohol ink and translucent. Everything will clear up, and then from there we're going to give it a sand to clear everything up and finish up these earrings. And here they are out of the oven. And I'm just going to very quickly bring over the previous piece so that you can see the colour difference. And you can see that the blue has gone a fair bit more green, so that is something to bear in mind when you're working with alcohol inks. There is quite a colour shift, and that's why I added a little bit more blue than I otherwise wanted the colour to be, essentially, so that I got this nice teal look. And I have already given these a quick sand with a 600 grit sandpaper to clean them up, and you can see how nicely those have turned out. And you can use some polishing papers to bring it up to a high sheen if you want, but I'm going to be varnishing them. These two are going to have resin on them, and these two I'm going to be applying Varnishing gloss varnish to. But before I do that, I need to give them a quick drill so that I can first off suspend them over the varnish, but also so that I can attach the earring wires. And I'm just getting it right near the top there, and it should be strong enough for that. I'm just being careful because it is quite a thin point, so I want to make sure that I drill straight. Once you get that going, it should be okay. There we go. And then just go through a couple of times to make sure that that hole's nice and clean. And there we go, that's something I can use to varnish it now. I'll do the same with this one. Okay, let me just pop that to the side. And I'm just going to actually use the ear wire to suspend it, because I'm going to use this nice big ear wire. So I'll just open that up and pop that through, hopefully. Yes, okay. And there we go. And you could, of course, leave it exactly like that if you wanted to, but I want it to be shiny. So I'm just going to pop that on too. Okay, and I'm just going to take those and dip them straight into the varnish, just up until the tips. Then I'll just hold those and grab something to suspend them. I'll just use this old wooden skewer just to start with so that they can just kind of start to drain, and then I'm going to move those over to a basket so that they can hang a little bit higher up, but I will just hang them over the varnish a little bit just to get that excess varnish draining off. And then for the other two, I'm going to use a silicone mat just to let them balance out on while I apply the resin. And just decide which sides you like the best. Yeah, I definitely like these the best. I'll just place those down, and I want to be careful because these are very narrow, and so it's quite easy for the UV resin to spill off of the edge. So especially when working with something like this, just apply a little bit of resin, and then you can always apply more if you want or you need it. But it's much better to just apply a small amount, spread it out, see if you need more, rather than applying too much and then having spills. There we go. Then I'll just use some tools to spread that resin out, and then I'll pop that under the UV light for about 15 minutes, or you can pop it in direct sunlight, that works as well. And that should give a really nice soft glassy sheen to the piece, and it's really bringing out that pearl white as well. I'm not sure how well the camera's picking that up, but it's really brought out the colour and just really made it nice and beachy. Alright, and here is how it should look once that resin has cured. Now, I did also just drill them the same way that I did the previous teardrops, and I attached the same ear wire. And here is the other one, and you can see how those two look. And they do sit a little strange on the tile, unfortunately, but they do wear quite nicely. And here are those teardrop pieces. Again, really happy with how these ones turned out. This was what I was going for, whereas these ones I just thought that I would show as an added bonus, because that also can look quite nice if that's the pattern that you want to go for. But yeah, that is just about it for today's tutorial. I do hope that you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. And yeah, let me know if you'll try this in different colours. Of course, I was trying to go for a specific stone, but you can see that the pattern itself is really quite pretty, especially with that translucent just kind of moving through the earring pieces. So definitely try it in different colours if you would prefer that. But yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll get to them as soon as possible. Also, if you'd like the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, as I do videos like this just about every single day. And if you'd like to support the channel so that I can continue creating videos just like this one, please do consider becoming a member. There is a join button just below this video, or there is a link to my Patreon account. Both are exactly the same thing, where I post exclusive videos that are not available on YouTube and are a great way to support the channel. Another way to support the channel is to check out my Etsy store, where I sell things such as the cutters or the mould that I used in today's video, along with other polymer clay related tools and supplies. That's also linked in the description below. But yeah, that is just about it. I do hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.